everybody, it's JPROV here. I wanted to talk today about a topic that I kind of want to get off my chest here as I eat this cheesecake here. These are movies that people give a lot of hate to, or it's popular to hate them, even though I personally don't hate them. Now, what I'm saying is, these movies aren't great. These movies aren't like The Godfather. They're not like Citizen Kane movies, but I think they either A, get too much hate, or B, are just popular to be hated on. I don't think that's fair to these movies. Now, actually, to some degree it is fair. Now, what are we going to be talking about first? We're going to be talking about, first movie on our list is probably going to be Les Mis, the 2010. For some reason, it became popular to hate this movie. I actually enjoyed this movie. I have it on Blu-ray, and I love this movie. No, Russell Crowe was quite terrible. He's probably the worst singer in the whole film. Probably one of the worst singers I've ever heard on, just in film in general. But it does not deny the filmmaking, does not deny the passion behind this movie, does not deny the harkening back to old Hollywood, big spectacle. There was a lot to hate in this movie, especially Russell Crowe and Anne Hathaway, which are probably the two worst parts, but all the songs are good. That's a given. Set design, the way that the cinematography is really interesting. And yeah, I just kind of like that movie. I think it's a really good movie. Hardcore fans of the show were very mixed on it. I did not see the show on Broadway. I have a few family members who did. They loved it, and they loved the movie also. So I don't know. I just... Over the course of time, it's been more popular to hate this movie, and I don't really know why. I think it's just a generally good movie. Number 2 on this list is Jason Bourne. Now, this is the fourth Matt Damon film in the franchise with 5 Bourne movies. I think like the actual fourth one is with Jeremy Renner, and that movie was absolute shit. But the 5th one they made, which is the 4th Matt Damon movie, Jason Bourne, is not a terrible movie. Now, was I going in with the highest expectations? No. So I walked out going, it was a movie. It was okay. It was whatever. I say the action is great. I think there's like 3 main action pieces. All 3 are very enjoyable. I think Matt Damon kind of sleepwalks through the movie. Julia Stiles is pretty bad. But other than that, I quite enjoy the movie. I know Tommy Lee Jones shows up, and it's kind of the same thing as all the other Jason Bourne movies, but it's like, what else did you expect? Having that mindset kind of allowed me to just be like, fuck it. It's a whatever movie. So, yeah, I don't hate that movie. Yeah, I didn't walk out going, oh man, Matt Damon, you lied to me. I just went, oh. Well, that was a movie. This next movie is a little controversial to a lot of people. Now, next movie is Batman vs. Superman. I'm not saying this movie's great. I never said that. What I'm saying is, I think this movie gets a lot of hate. And it's like, I didn't see any... I walked out going, how is that any different than, like, the Avengers movies? Or, how is that even different than a lot of the X-Men movies? I didn't really see it. It was bloated, yeah. It didn't make a lot of sense, but I was like, how is this any different than a lot of the other movies? I like Ben Affleck. I don't love him. I like Christian Bale better. I like what's-her-name as Wonder Woman, even though she showed up for 2 seconds. Hated Jesse Eisenberg.
Ahoy, ahoy! I did not know you were here.
But I think they just told him to do what he was doing. Nobody stopped him. I like the action in the movie. Again, I'm not saying this movie's a terrific movie, but I'm not saying this movie's shit either. I think it has like a 20-something Rotten Tomatoes. That's very low. That's around the same as like Fantastic Four, and that's a shit movie. Now, I'll give you Suicide Squad. I'll give you Man of Steel. But I don't hate this movie. I'm not saying I love it. I'm just saying I don't hate it. I just finished up the cheesecake. I just want to do a quick review of a movie that I get a lot of hate for on the podcast. You probably heard it a few times mentioned on the episodes I've been on. It's called The Place Beyond the Pines, directed by Derek Cianfrance, starring... Now, this cast is amazing. It's Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Mahershala Ali, which is, if you don't know him, is the villain from Luke Cage. He just won the Oscar for Moonlight. Ray Liotta, Krennic from Rogue One, Ben Mendelsohn, he's in it. Dane DeHaan is also in it. He's from Chronicle and that Valerian movie. So this is a very... The budget was, I think it was like $20 million, which, as you may know, that's not the biggest budget in the world, but it got a lot of buzz at the Toronto International Film Festival back in 2012, I think. So I just want to get this off my chest. Actually, pretty much the rest of Free Refills makes fun of me for liking this movie, saying, it's pretentious, it gets up its own ass, it's annoying, it's long. I don't see that. Actually, the word for pretentious, there's a few members on Free Refills who like to throw around pretentious all the time, and I just don't really agree with that. I just say it's filmmaking, because I don't really believe in pretentious. I say if you go to an art gala and you see a rectangle on a board and you're like, how the hell is that art? Yeah, that's pretentious, but again, I think filmmaking is a little different because it's very subjective. And I think pretentious is a very, very strong word. People use that a lot with David Lynch. I think David Lynch is just a certain type of filmmaking. He's not necessarily pretentious. He just doesn't really care. Back to my original argument. I don't think The Place Beyond the Pines is pretentious. Let me get into the plot. The plot is... I guess I'll get into spoilers, but even when I do spoil it, I still think everyone should go out and see this movie. It's a very visual movie, a lot of long takes. Again, the acting's great. So this movie takes place over 3 parts. Now, the first part is almost an action movie. It's the first 50 minutes, 50. Ryan Gosling he works as a motorcycle stunt man. He goes on with the carnivals and he drives around like the balls of death, and he drives in circles in those. And it's basically minimum wage. He finds out that this woman that he slept with, who's played by Eva Mendes, now has a baby with another man. Well, it's his baby, but she's living with another man. Turns out he goes, well, I can't leave with the carnival. I have to stay here and take care of him, but I have no money. So he decides to rob banks. He decides to rob banks, and he gets a high out of it. Basically, he's doing two, 3 at a time, and he does it with Ben Mendelsohn. And then there's this great quote in the movie. It's Ben Mendelsohn says it. He's the character of Robin.
If you ride like lightning, you're gonna crash like thunder.
That's basically what Ryan Gosling does. It's a very Shakespearean ending because Ryan Gosling gets killed off in the first act of the film. Bradley Cooper ends up shooting him because Ryan Gosling, over the course of the events, Eva Mendes finds out he's doing some bad things. She doesn't want to see him anymore. He tries to rob one more bank to reconcile. Ben Mendelsohn doesn't want him to be killed, so he just destroys his motorcycle. Ryan Gosling goes to rob this bank anyway. He keeps messing up. He forgot his sunglasses to hide his identity. His bike ends up, the tire ends up breaking, or it's like punctured, so he ends up falling off the bike, running into a random person's house. He's cooped up in the house, Bradley Cooper, and the way Bradley Cooper's introduced is not cinematic at all. It's it's like a side view, like the camera's in the passenger seat of a cop car, and it's just like the side of Bradley Cooper's face. He's like, yeah, I'm on it, and he's just like a rookie cop who shoots Ryan Gosling out the window, falling to his death in this house, which I find it really interesting. Now, this director also directed Blue Valentine, which also stars Ryan Gosling, and The Light Between Oceans, which stars Michael Fassbender and Alicia Vikander. Blue Valentine, I love. Light Between Oceans, it's okay. But the director's he's the actor's director. He lets the actors do what they want. But sometimes, like, again, with Ryan Gosling and Bradley Cooper, he didn't let them meet each other until the day Bradley Cooper ended up shooting Ryan Gosling's character out the window. So now he's out the window, and now Bradley Cooper is seen as a hero. But Bradley Cooper finds out that Ryan Gosling had a son, a baby, and Bradley Cooper also has a baby, so he's having trouble looking at his own child. He's having some light mental problems. The movie's not really about that. It's about coping with shooting another father. And then there's problems within the police department. Ray Liotta is a dirty cop, of course, because he doesn't really play anything else other than a dirty cop or a gangster. He's a dirty cop. He makes him go to Ryan Gosling's wife, now a widow, her house, steals the money that Ryan Gosling left her, drives away, and Bradley Cooper feels terrible about this. So he ends up basically blackmailing the district attorney. And he's like, you make me assistant DA, and if you don't, I'm going to tell everyone about what's happening in the police department, all these scandals and everything. And I was like, all right. So it's kind of a dirty way to get to the top. The third act follows, coincidentally. It takes place 15 years after. 15 years later, it shows Dane DeHaan as Ryan Gosling's son, but he does not know that his father is this character. And it also follows Bradley Cooper's son, who is a delinquent. He like adopts another accent. He's like always going to juvies. He's in with drugs. And these two sons form a bond. Ironically, they don't know that one dad killed the other father, which is the ironic part. Obviously, one of them finds out. And then the ending, they all kind of reconcile for their sins, which is what the movie's all about. The movie's all about fathers and sons, relationships, reconciling for your sins, trying to make up for the past, how your past can follow you, how your demons can follow you, how your family name holds weight even 15 years later. So yeah, I highly recommend this movie. On a technical level, the acting is phenomenal. I think this is Ryan Gosling's best role, and he's only in it for the first act of the movie, and they never show any flashbacks. They show one picture of him. They reference back to him, but you never see him again, which is amazing to have this big actor killed off. He's killed off, and Bradley Cooper's amazing. I say Ray Liotta and his section, the second act, is probably the weakest part of the movie, just because it doesn't relate to any of the fathers and son theme. It doesn't relate to making up for your sins, reconciling. It doesn't really relate to that. It just kind of advances the plot, which is good. It just doesn't relate to the themes. So yeah, thanks. This is JPROV. I finished my cheesecake. Thank you very much.